There is one thing you do every single day that feels perfectly normal to you, but would make a Japanese person quietly cringe. The strange part? Most Westerners have no idea they are doing anything wrong. In fact, the cleaner you think you are, the more likely you are guilty of at least three of these. In this video, you will discover 7 everyday hygiene habits that Japan considers genuinely unsanitary. And according to modern science, they have a point. Stay with me because number 4 is the hardest to accept. And number 7 will completely change how you think about being clean. Before we get into all 7, there is something worth understanding about why Japan thinks about hygiene differently from almost every other culture on Earth. It is not perfectionism. It is not cultural fussiness. It is not a country that is simply more sensitive than others. Japan has one of the lowest rates of hospital-acquired infection in the developed world. One of the lowest rates of antibiotic resistance, consistently ranked among the top 5 countries globally for public health outcomes by the World Health Organization. And researchers who have studied this consistently arrive at the same conclusion. It is not the healthcare system alone. It is the daily habits, small, consistent, repeated, that prevent contamination before it has the chance to become illness. Japan does not treat hygiene as cleaning up after the fact. It treats it as prevention built into the ordinary texture of a day. 7 habits the West has never questioned, 7 habits Japan never adopted. Let us go through every single one. Top 1. Keeping outdoor shoes on inside the home. This happens the moment you walk through your front door. You keep your outdoor shoes on inside your home. Right now in most Western homes, the shoes that walked across a gas station floor, a public restroom, a hospital corridor, a parking lot where thousands of cars have leaked oil and fluid over years. Those shoes are walking across the same floors where children play, where bare feet move to the kitchen at midnight, where the dog sleeps, where you sit on the floor to stretch, or open a package, or fold laundry. Every step is a transfer. A study from the University of Houston found that shoe soles carry an average of 421,000 bacteria per square centimeter. The specific organisms identified included E. coli, Klebsiella pneumonia, and Serratia ficaria, bacteria associated with urinary tract infections, wound infections, and respiratory illness. Between 90 and 99% of those bacteria transferred directly to clean indoor flooring on first contact. Not some of it, essentially all of it. Japan has a word for the entryway where shoes come off before entering the home. Genkan. A small physical boundary, sometimes just a single step down, that separates the outside world from the inside one. Not a suggestion, not a preference, a line. In Japanese culture, this line has been observed for centuries. Not because Japan discovered germ theory early, but because someone noticed long before any laboratory confirmed it that homes where shoes came off at the door stayed cleaner with less effort, and that the people inside them stayed healthier with less explanation. The science eventually caught up. In most Western homes, every surface your outdoor shoes touch becomes a contaminated surface. The floor, the rug, the mat your child crawls across, the area beside the bed where you might sit down in the morning. You do not need to renovate your entryway, a shoe rack beside the door, a clear, consistent habit of removing shoes before stepping into the living space, a pair of indoor slippers waiting on the other side of that line. The outside world stops at the threshold. Everything inside stays the way you left it. The West built welcome mats and asked the outside world to wipe its feet. Japan built a boundary and asked the outside world to stay outside. The difference in what reaches your floors is not small, and it is the first reason Japanese homes are cleaner without being cleaned more. Top 2, toilet flushing and toothbrush exposure. This one happens in your bathroom. Specifically, it happens at your toilet. In most Western bathrooms, the toilet and the hand-washing sink are in the same room. When you flush, you walk to the sink, wash your hands, and consider the task complete. But here is what most people do not realize is happening in that room every single time a toilet is flushed. A toilet flush produces what microbiologists call an aerosol plume, a fine mist of water particles and microscopic biological matter that travels upward from the bowl at the moment of flushing, reaching heights of up to 1.5 meters, and remaining suspended in the air of the bathroom for several minutes before settling. Settling on what? on every surface within range: the counter, the toothbrush holder, the hand towel, the bar of soap, your toothbrush. A study published in the journal Physics of Fluids in 2022, using high-resolution laser imaging to make the aerosol plume visible for the first time, found that particles reached the top of the toilet tank within 8 seconds of flushing and spread across the surrounding area within 60 seconds. Your toothbrush sitting in a holder on the counter beside the toilet is not protected by distance. It is within range. Japan has two responses to this that the West has largely not adopted. First, the toilet lid. In Japan, the toilet lid is closed before flushing. Always, not sometimes, before every flush. The lid does not eliminate the plume entirely, but research published in the American Journal of Infection Control found that closing the lid before flushing reduced surface bacterial contamination in the surrounding area by over 50%. Second, the toothbrush. In Japan, toothbrushes are stored in cabinets, not on open counters, behind a closed door, away from the toilet's range. Tonight, close the lid before you flush. Move your toothbrush into a cabinet, or at minimum into a covered holder. These are two actions. Each takes under 3 seconds. Each significantly reduces what lands on the things you put in your mouth. Top 3, the Western method of bathing. This one is going to feel the most personal because it involves something most Western people consider one of their cleanest habits: the bath. In most Western homes, a bath is taken by filling the tub with water, getting in and soaking, washing the body in the same water you are sitting in. The water that carries what you are washing off remains in the tub with you for the duration of the bath. When you drain it, you have been sitting in it. In Japan, the bath works entirely differently, and the difference is not aesthetic, it is functional. In Japanese bathing culture, you wash and rinse your body completely before you enter the bath. Standing or sitting on a small stool beside the tub, using a handheld shower head, you clean your entire body with soap, rinse fully, and only then step into the bath water. The bath water in the deep ofuro tub, designed for full-body submersion, is clean when you enter it. It remains clean throughout the soak. In many Japanese households, it is kept warm and reused by the next family member without draining because the water has not been contaminated by the washing process. This is not just more hygienic in terms of skin cleanliness. It is more efficient with water, more effective at temperature maintenance, and significantly more relaxing because the body soaking in clean hot water produces a physiological response that soaking in cooling soap, clouded water, simply does not. Research from the British Journal of General Practice found that regular full-body immersion in clean warm water is associated with reduced cortisol, lower blood pressure, and measurably improved mood and sleep quality. The operative word is clean. The mechanism requires the water to be clean to produce those effects at their full magnitude. The Western bath is a place to wash. The Japanese ofuro is a place to restore. They are not the same experience, and the difference is built into the order of operations. Wash first, then bathe. Top 4, inadequate hand washing duration. This is the hardest to accept. You wash your hands, you consider them clean, you move through your day, touching your face, your food, your phone with hands you believe are sanitary. But here is what most people in the West have never been told about how they wash their hands. The average hand washing duration in the West is approximately 6 seconds. 6 seconds. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recommends a minimum of 20 seconds of active scrubbing with soap to effectively remove the bacteria and viruses most commonly responsible for illness transmission. 20 seconds. The widely referenced benchmark is singing the Happy Birthday song twice at normal speed, which takes approximately 20 seconds. A study published in the Journal of Environmental Health found that only 5% of people who wash their hands using the bathroom did so for long enough and thoroughly enough to actually remove potential pathogens. 5%, which means 95% of people who believe they have clean hands after washing have not actually achieved what they believe they have achieved. Japan's approach to hand washing is closer to the protocol taught in Japanese schools since the 1980s as part of the national health curriculum. 6 steps, each step targeting a specific surface of the hand that is statistically most likely to be missed in a brief rinse. Step 1, palm-to-palm circular motion. Step 2, back of each hand scrubbed with the opposite palm. Step 3, fingers interlace scrubbing between each one. Step 4, backs of fingers against the opposite palm. Step 5, each thumb rotated in the opposite hand. Step 6, fingertips rotated against the opposite palm, specifically targeting the nail beds. The entire sequence takes approximately 20 to 30 seconds. It is taught to Japanese children the way the alphabet is taught to Western ones. Early, consistently, until it is simply how washing works. You do not need to become a surgeon to wash your hands correctly. You need 20 seconds in these 6 steps. That is the entire practice. Tonight, count. Just tonight, once, count the seconds the next time you wash your hands, and notice what the number actually is. Top 5, blowing your nose in public. This one happens in shared spaces, and it is the hygiene habit that causes the most visible discomfort for Japanese visitors to Western countries. Blowing your nose in public. In Japan, blowing your nose audibly in a public space, at a restaurant table, in a meeting, on public transport, is considered one of the least socially acceptable hygiene acts a person can perform. Not because it is impolite in a vague cultural sense, because of what is actually happening physically when it occurs. When you blow your nose forcefully, you are generating significant pressure inside your nasal passages. Research published in the journal Clinical Infectious Diseases found that forceful nose blowing generates intranasal pressure approximately 100 times greater than the pressure produced by coughing or sneezing, and that this pressure can propel nasal mucus into the sinus cavities, potentially spreading infection from the nasal passages upward into areas of the respiratory system that the infection had not yet reached. The act of forceful nose blowing can, in other words, push a localized nasal infection deeper into your own respiratory system. Additionally, the aerosol produced by nose blowing, even when performed into a tissue, extends beyond the immediate area, particularly when the act is forceful enough to be audible. Japan's response is the opposite. Sniffling, keeping nasal contents controlled through quiet, contained sniffing, is perfectly acceptable and considered the more hygienic option in public spaces. If blowing becomes necessary, it is done privately, quietly, and as minimally as possible. This is not squeamishness, it is biology. The West normalized audible, forceful nose blowing in public so completely that few people have ever questioned whether it is actually the more hygienic option. It is not. Top 6, washing raw chicken. This one is in your kitchen, and it is one that most Western home cooks consider a sign of thorough cleanliness. Washing raw chicken before cooking it. In the United Kingdom, a Food Standards Agency survey found that 44% of people regularly wash raw chicken before cooking it. In the United States, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention estimate the figure is similar. People do this because it feels hygienic, because removing visible residue from the surface of raw poultry before cooking feels like a sensible precaution. Japan does not do this, and the reason is precisely the opposite of what Western intuition suggests. When you wash raw chicken under a tap, the water that touches the raw surface of the chicken is immediately contaminated with whatever is on that surface. Most significantly, Campylobacter and Salmonella, the 2 bacterial species most commonly associated with poultry-related food poisoning. That contaminated water does not stay on the chicken, it splashes. Research from Drexel University found that washing chicken under a running tap produces a spray radius of up to 80 centimeters, covering counters, cutting boards, nearby utensils, the sink basin, and sometimes clothing and hands with contaminated water. The heat of cooking destroys every pathogen on the surface of the chicken. The washing does not. The washing spreads the bacteria across every surface in the splash radius before the cooking kills the bacteria on the chicken. Japan cooks poultry directly without washing because the contamination risk of washing significantly exceeds any benefit. The next time you cook chicken, do not wash it. Pat it dry with a paper towel if needed, dispose of the paper towel immediately, and wash your hands. And cook it to the correct internal temperature. The heat does what the water never could. Top 7, mobile phone contamination. The one I told you would change how you think about being clean. This one is not about what you do in the bathroom or the kitchen. It is about what you carry with you everywhere you go and touch more times each day than almost any other object in your life. Your phone. You touch your phone an average of 2,717 times per day, according to research from Disgust, a mobile research firm that tracked users across 3 months. You touch it before you wash your hands, after you use the bathroom, while you cook, while you eat. You place it on restaurant tables, on public bathroom counters, on gym equipment, on the floor beside your yoga mat. And then you pick it up and hold it against your face. A study from the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine found that 1 in 6 mobile phones carries fecal bacteria on its surface. A separate study from the University of Arizona found that mobile phones carry 10 times more bacteria per square inch than a toilet seat. Your phone, 10 times more bacteria than your toilet seat, held against the side of your face during every phone call. Placed beside your pillow at night. In Japan, hands are washed with a specific 6-step protocol before meals, after any public contact, and consistently throughout the day. But beyond hand hygiene, Japan maintains a cultural awareness of contaminated surfaces, of what has been touched and what has not been cleaned, that produces a general consciousness about object contact that most Western people simply do not have. You cannot sterilize your phone with every use, but you can clean it properly once a day. And you can stop holding it directly against your face during calls, using the speaker function or headphones, which eliminates the most direct route from the most contaminated object you own to the mucous membranes of your face. 7 habits, all of them normal, all of them standard, all of them so embedded in Western daily life that questioning them sounds unreasonable, until you understand what they are actually doing. Shoes carrying 421,000 bacteria per square centimeter across every indoor surface. A toilet flush sending a plume of particles across your toothbrush in under 60 seconds. A Western bath that washes the body in the water, carrying what it is washing off. 6 seconds of hand washing that removes almost nothing. Forceful nose blowing that can push infection deeper into your own respiratory system. Chicken washing that sprays Campylobacter across an 80-centimeter radius. And a phone pressed against your face that carries 10 times the bacteria of your toilet seat. Japan did not find these habits disgusting because it is more culturally sensitive than other countries. It found them unsanitary because it looked carefully at what they were actually doing and chose differently. The good news is that all 7 have a better alternative, and none of them require a renovation, a product, a program, or anything you do not already have. They require a decision made once, repeated daily. Tonight, just one question to take with you. Of these 7 habits, which one genuinely surprised you? Not the one you already knew about. The one that landed differently than you expected. Leave it in the comments. Because the habit you name is the one you are most likely to actually change. And if this shifted something in how you think about your own daily routine, share it with one person in your life who considers themselves clean, but might be doing at least 3 of these. They will not thank you immediately, but they will eventually. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one. If these revelations have changed how you view your daily hygiene, please subscribe to our channel and like this video. We are uncovering the hidden truths that often go unnoticed. Let's cultivate a healthier future together. The next treasure of knowledge will be revealed soon.